never shuts up. This is the Moon Griffin Show.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. It is the Moon Griffin Show. Honored to be with you. Alleigh Marré, our special guest, American Parent Coalition. Alleigh, tell us real quick a website for people to find out more about your information. What's all on your website, too?
AmericanParentsCoalition.org. That has, information about what we do and how we can be helpful to your family. But the most important page is probably the resources page. Mm-hmm. And in that, we have a lot of great stuff for families looking to learn about, potential threats or just things to be aware of as you raise your kids. And then also a lot of great actionable resources. Sometimes public policy takes a while to catch up to where it should be. And obviously we're raising our kids in real time. So we have a bunch of resources that are conversation guides, templates for you to write letters to representatives or to talk to your local school board and how you can get more information from them. So there's a lot of great stuff on that resources page specifically.
If people reach out to you directly, do y'all help them directly besides giving them resources? Do y'all actually come in the area, y'all send people? That's not what y'all do.
Occasionally, and we've been engaged in a handful of, lawsuits that are in line with, some of the pillars that we support. And we've certainly been helpful to a handful of families when they're having one of these issues to share their story and help them reach out to their, local media, et cetera.
Sure.
But we're a little bit more big picture on the public policy side and then helping with the resources. But it is something that we do.
Okay. No, I figured you did, and I wanted to get out the website because I wanted to make sure people were helped on this. If you when you look at this thing and from the perspective that you look at it, what is the biggest deal? Where is the biggest thing y'all have to deal with? Is it the kid, the parents, both? Or she's dealing with the schools or this American Academy of Pediatrics? So what is your biggest? You feel like your biggest? I don't know if war is the right word, but you. How do you got to get? Who do you get involved with to fix this? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what's the war here? What's the fight? The fight helping the kid, the parents. What's the deal?
So I think there's two kind of parallel problems. The first is that with digital media, streaming, personal devices, everything has kind of become ubiquitous. It's everywhere all the time. So you may, set your kid down to allow them to watch a show while you finish up some work for the day or unload the dishwasher, do some laundry, whatever. And if you have that device on autoplay, your child may finish their episode of Bluey, but you don't necessarily know what's going to come on next. So I guess the way that I kind of draw that to how it was different than when I was growing up, you would put on a channel, you knew exactly what was coming up next. The parent could, leave the room and know what was there and what was coming on next and whether or not it was appropriate. And if you, missed the window, that was on you. You don't necessarily know anymore because of the algorithms. And then the same thing is true with social media. A generation ago, when your kids were in your house and you shut your front door, the outside influences of the world were not in your living room. But now when kids have cell phones, social media, tablets, iPads, anything that they can access is the outside world in your living room or in their bedroom, which is, just as dangerous. So I think that the culture being ubiquitous is, quote, problem number one. And then the second is just this erosion of parental rights and parental authority, where we're seeing both in our education system and medically, there is much less willingness to be transparent and inclusive of parents. And instead, everyone wants to keep parents sidelined because it's a roadblock to the ideology.
It seems like it seems like these people that are pushing this in schools and at pediatrics to separate their kids from their parents, they're the ones that ought to be in trouble. Seriously, they're the ones that ought to be arrested.
Absolutely.
They ought to be arrested. They ought to be put in jail. They'll be fined. They should lose their license for doing that. That is just not right, to separate your kids from your parents and do it in a very dark, clouded way of doing this. Hey, Alleigh, we got to go. I hope we do it again. Alleigh Marré, I appreciate it. American Parents Coalition. Y'all check out the website.